This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show. This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show.
YouTube, what is up? I'm your homeboy Josh, back at ya, and today we're taking a look at the Galatek RDA. The Galatek from ASMODUS. Comes in a really nondescript package. It's basically just not a whole lot going on here. Some ink blotches, paint blotches, no specs or information on the box, the ASMODUS logo, and the name of the device up front. So really unpretentious packaging. Not a whole lot going on there, except where it says, for professional use only. You need to have some, it's a rebuildable, it's a dripper, so it's not for someone that's just getting into vaping. You need to know what you're doing in terms of your Ohm's law, in terms of your building and whatnot, but professional use only is just a funny way of putting it, but okay, fine, whatever. Pop it on open, and your RDA is in this sort of flaccid looking condom cloth thing. This bit of latex or rubber or whatever. It's like this milky sort of plastic wrap. It's a little funky. But anyway, it pops out, and it's got to be one of the most interesting looking drippers that I've ever seen. Honestly, one of the most interesting looking drippers that I've ever seen from the outside. There's no logos, there's no branding, but a completely unique look about this device. I have to say, I haven't seen anything quite like it in some time. There are these little notches and these little caverns and these domes and these sort of weird looking sort of windows, and just really weird looking device. Really cool. You can see yourself inside of inside of each one of these little domes. I mean, they all have like this sort of tiny little reflective quality to them, and they're small enough that they might be reflective, but they're not super fingerprinty. They can gather a bit of dust, but it's not super bad, and you can blow them out pretty easy, just like that. And when I first looked at them, I thought it was some kind of weird airflow system, like airflow was going to come in up at the side and then bounce off the top, or do I don't even know what. But they're not for airflow at all. It has nothing to do with airflow. It's all to do with just looks. It's just there for looks, and I think that that's really cool. That so much of RDAs is a lot of times it's function over form. It's kind of cool when you see something that's there just for aesthetics. What this is something that looks like it's 3 separate pieces, is what it looks like, and it's actually 2 separate pieces, but that's besides the point. When you look at it from underneath, it looks like one piece. It's like a mind fuck, okay? What it is basically is it's 2 pieces. You got your airflow control, and the airflow control must have some kind of cutaway in there, because this thing sits on top of it, where the drip tip sits and where the sort of like outer cage is. That just sort of sits on top of this dome, which is actually part of that lower airflow control. Basically, the only reason that I know that with any certainty is because looking at it when you're turning the airflow adjustment, which is its bottom airflow, and you adjust it here at the bottom, well, you can adjust it and turn it. Those little dome reflective structures move along with it when you're doing it. However, you can also turn the top section, the bit of sort of cage that goes down over those little mirrors, and that turns independently. So it's only 2 pieces here, but looking at it from the inside, it's a mind fuck. And it still is, looking at it from the same side, because then you're like, okay, so this reflective piece and this piece over here, they're the same piece? Really? So crazy. Looking at it, it's really cool. Okay, really cool looking device. And then, if you turn it one way, so it lines up with one of those little reflective structures over the airflow, it kind of looks sort of like a spaceship, I guess. I'm taking license with it because it's the Galatek. So Galaxy, Galatek, I don't fucking know. If you turn it a little more so those dome structures line up, one on either side of the airflow hole, well, it kind of looks like a face, but not just any face, it kind of looks like a spaceman or an alien or something. I don't know. It looks really fucking cool. From the outside, it looks awesome. Minus the drip tip. I kind of hate the drip tip. It just looks dumb. And it doesn't come with an alternate, and it doesn't come with an attachment that you can use to use your own drip tips. You're stuck using this weird looking thing up top, and yeah, okay, someone's gonna say you can fit, I don't know, some sort of drip tip in here, but you know what? It's gonna look dumb. Anything you put on top of it, it's gonna look stupid. So piss off with that, okay? Okay, anyway. That's the good, okay? That's the good. But I have to say very little else is good. Flavor's good. Flavor, vapor production, all that is fine, okay? It does have a tendency to get warm because of how the drip tip is sitting on top of there. Even though this little cage is supposed to be all about heat dissipation, that's the functionality of that little cage, is heat dissipation, it still gets kind of warm when I've been chain vaping it, okay? It gets a bit hot. Not to the point where I can't vape it, but you know, some people are really sensitive to that. I'm just being mindful of it. I don't mind it so much. It's just a warmer, hotter vape. It's a very reduced chamber when you get down to it, when you think about where that dome begins and where that dome ends. There's a reason why it's a warmer vape. It's a warm vape. I'm only vaping at about 62 watts right now, but you know, it's a warm vape. So the deck on the Galatek. I was actually pretty excited to take a look at it, and then I see the deck and I realized that I'm not as excited anymore. So fortunately there were some coils that came with the thing, and I threw those coils in here. It's a pair of fuse clappies, it's 26 gauge or 40 gauge, and it's by Oni coils. I thought it was just kind of cool how it came in its own marked bag with its own branding and all that, just something a little bit different. Like, I'm not sure if they're owned by the same company or not, but I thought it was a cool little partnership or whatever. And the goodie bag was in there too. And I'm telling you, it was like a clown car of O-rings. O-rings upon O-rings upon O-rings. It just kept coming. There were so many extra O-rings in this bag. And I have to say, I don't really understand why. There's no visible O-rings that you can actually get to here, except for, no, I don't see where any of the O-rings are. As far as I'm concerned, it's a single piece top cap. That's the way I'll ever use this, is a single piece top cap. I doubt I will ever need to change an O-ring. I guess there are two over on the deck, but that's it. Other than that, I doubt I'll ever need another O-ring. And it comes with a pair of extra screws, and you get a squonk pin too. So if you're into squonking, it's another one to add to the list of squonkable RDAs. But these days, so many RDAs are coming squonkable, and I think that's awesome. I love that that's the case. Four coils later, it's a pretty decent vape at, right now, 0.43. Right now, vaping at about 60 watts or so. Why 4 coils, might you ask? Well, I gotta tell you, I'm all for creativity in our decks. I'm all for going out there and trying something new with a deck, but there's just certain standards and certain things that work better than others when it comes to decks and the way that they perform and the way that you build on them. The deck on the Galatek. It's a postless deck, essentially. Sort of a raised postless deck, so you can have room for wicking and you can use the bottom airflow structure, right? Right, okay. There's very little room for wicking. It's really just a place where your wicks to sit, essentially, which is all fine. I'm all good with that. My problem comes with the way that the screws are oriented. You know, the way that this deck is designed is that once you place your coils in there, you're gonna fold them down and bring them toward your airflow. You're going to put the coils in on top, sort of cut them a little bit so that they're gonna fit. It's nice and deep, so you can leave a lot of coil on here and it's gonna sink on down. You don't really have to worry about cutting them exactly right, which is kind of nice. That's because they're so deep in there. You can leave a good centimeter or so on there for the length of your leads and they're gonna fit. You don't have to be so precise in clipping them. Lovely. Here's the issue. It's that you're gonna have to sort of bend these leads outward toward the airflow. And that is going to weaken your lead in some ways. In some respects, it's going to weaken your lead. That's one. Adding to that problem is that the screws are oriented the wrong way. I can't stress this enough. This is why I don't like velocity decks. This is why I don't like a lot of decks, because I don't like the way the screws are oriented. They're oriented the wrong way on this deck. So the screws are coming in parallel to the wide side of your leads, okay? Which means that your lead is going to be squished and turned in some sort of weird direction. That's going to create a problem for you. That's going to create a very malformed coil. It's going to create a lead that wants to be one particular direction, but it's going to be turned another, and then it's going to be heated, which caused not one, but 2 coils to pop. Oh, come on, man. Fucking shit. Fortunately, I had an extra Galatek. I'll give it away at some point. And I had some extra coils. So I grabbed one set of coils and I put another coil in there, thinking, okay, must be just the way that this coil is, that it was weak or something, and that's why. No, the same exact thing happened with the second coil. The second coil I put in that same slot heated up the same way, and basically just at that lead, the same spot, lead cut itself because of the heat, because of the way that that lead was being oriented, because of the way it was being forced to turn, because of the way the screws were oriented. That's the reason I don't like velocity decks. That's the reason I don't like decks that don't consider the wide side of your lead on your coil. They're not meant to be twisted right when they go into the deck. It's just commonsensical, okay? It's commonsensical. And it did it not once but twice the same way. Heated the legs the wrong way and popped the coil. There's another reason that happened though. aside from that lead being bent in an odd way right where it comes in contact with the deck, aside from that coil having to be sort of pushed downward, pulled downward and bent at an angle toward the airflow, there's another reason why this is happening, why I keep popping my lead and my coil in the same exact way. It's because the positive post is loose. It's actually jiggling. I am jiggling my positive post just by jiggling my coil. And you can't tighten it. You can. I thought I could because I was able to take a screwdriver to the positive on the bottom of the deck, which has no serialization but does have, you know, ASMODUS and Galatek on there, all loud and proud, and sort of, it's not very deep, the engraving. I think it's sort of like laser etched or something. It doesn't feel like it's going to stay there, honestly. It's not very good. But back to the positive post. Yeah, the pin just kind of keeps turning and turning and turning without actually tightening. Yeah, it doesn't tighten, it just turns. I don't get it. Definitely not hybrid safe, I would say. But back to the positive pin. The positive pin is constantly jiggling and it won't stop jiggling. And it's also causing my ohms to fluctuate. When I finished building this, it was at 0.15, then it jumped to 0.2. A little while ago it was at 0.4, 0.45. Now it's at 0.3. Yeah, my ohms are just all over the place. Now it's at 0.27, all over the place. Not cool. That's because of that positive pin. Not thrilled, I gotta say. I really liked it until it came to building on it. And I'm kind of glad that I was lazy on this one and just used the coils that came with the device, because that deck, I would have been pissed if I'd spent a good hour or so and threw something nice in here and that deck is what it is and that positive post is doing what that positive post is doing and my leads are popping. I wouldn't have been happy. Wouldn't have been happy at all. So I'm really glad I didn't spend too much time on a build for this one, to be honest with you. It's just like all it needs is, I'm not the biggest fan of bending my coil at like this 90-degree angle after I've mounted them into my build deck. Never thrills me. But the thing that put the nail in the coffin on this one is that, coupled with the screws being oriented the wrong way, and of course, you know, the loose positive post. Nail in the coffin. And it's a shame because it's actually a really interesting looking RDA from the outside, with a really interesting looking deck until you sort of look closer at it. And the only thing that I really didn't like at first was this Driptip, but I could have gotten over that. I mean, the flavor is really good, the vapor production is good. I mean, once you get it built, it's fine. It's just, you know, I went through 2 pairs of fused clapton coils getting this thing built because of just the weirdness of this deck. Yeah, it's not cool. I'm not thrilled. I'm not happy with it. And it just would be such an easy fix. At the very least, if the screws were oriented the right way and if that positive post wasn't jiggling and causing the ohms to jump all over the place, that would be something. That would salvage the device for me. At the very least, if ASMODUS could fix those 2 things, the way that the screws are oriented and the way that the post actually jiggles and is loose, then they'd have something actually kind of interesting here. And throw it away for me to swap out this Driptip without it looking silly. That would be great. Other than that, it is what it is. Throughout this review, I have been vaping on some Whipped Fluff from this month's Zample Box. Whipped Fluff is by Saber Vapors. Zample Box is a pretty awesome company if you've never actually gotten a grip on the kind of juice that you like to vape. That's how me and the Waffles kind of learned what we liked vaping and what we didn't. Was we were Zample Box subscribers for quite some time. Eventually we moved away from it and just kind of ordered what we wanted from where we wanted to, but I always did kind of miss getting that big green box in the mail. So I was really happy when Zample Box asked me if I would take a look at some of their monthly offerings. So we'll be seeing a lot more Zample Box on this channel, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to break up the Zample Box juices. We'll see how that goes, because it's like an 8 juice box and there's actually something like 11 or 12 juices that came in it. I don't know about you, but I don't think I could sit through an 11 juice review. That's just too fucking much. I've done it before, once, and I've never again. So I think we're gonna break it up and maybe we'll like recap it at the end of each month. I don't know, maybe I'll tell you which 3 that I like the best. They like to have like that little thing on social media, like your 3 favorite juices and whatever. Maybe we'll do that at the end of every month, I don't know. And sort of maybe recap the reviews where they were. I don't know, I've got an idea forming in my head. But this juice is actually pretty awesome. It is Whipped Fluff. And Whipped Fluff is basically, you know, vanilla marshmallow fluff, of course, but they've added a bit of banana and a bit of blueberry here. And it's actually pretty yummy. I gotta say, I wish there was a little bit more banana and a little bit more blueberry in there. I definitely seem to find myself focusing on the marshmallow fluff. I mean, my first thought with it was this would be a great base. I didn't even realize that there was banana or blueberry in here until this moment. I thought it was pretty much just marshmallow fluff, but really, really good marshmallow fluff, to be honest with you. And that was my first thought. This would be a great base for other things. But I actually like it for what it is, or what it isn't. It's pretty good stuff. Anyway, that's it for today. I appreciate all the things you guys do, the likes, the comments, the subs, the shares, all that good stuff. 2 more ways that you can support the channel. I have a list of affiliate links in the description on every video, and I have a Patreon account if you feel like making a contribution as well. Till next time, I'm your homeboy Josh. Vape on, vapors.